Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode of the JAIN Irrigation series. I'm Richard Restuccia, your host, and today we're going to be talking about something that is really near and dear to my heart, and that is the daily irrigation cost of water tracking with JAIN Unity. And what this means, right, that's a mouthful of a sentence right there, but what that really means is being able to use your JAIN Unity dashboard to actually see how much money you spent per irrigation event. And this, I really think, is going to be game changing, not just in the irrigation or landscape business, but on the whole water conservation game. So that's why I'm so excited about this, because I really see this making a difference in overall water use. Now, today, taking us through some of the software, we have Michael Palumbo. Mike's back again. He's a tremendous trainer, has done a lot of work on smart controllers, been in the industry a long time. The thing I really appreciate about Mike, though, is his ability to mix the technology with in a way to explain it that is very understandable to the general community. So he's got this high technology understanding, but can very much explain it in a way that most people understand. He's also got a tremendous commitment to customer service. I know for all of you that are his customers, you've seen that, you've experienced it, and you know what a great job he does. So anyway, Mike, thank you for joining us again today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Appreciate being here. Thank you.
So, Mike, help us out now. What is a cost of water feature that is in JAIN Unity now?
Yeah, we're excited. This is a new feature that was just released. Many times as a water manager, we're looking at how much gallons we're using or how much water usage is being used out there, but we're not really tracking how much does it cost us. So with this new feature, we're going to be able to know how many gallons we're using, but also have a dollar amount that we can apply to that to know how much we're using on a real-time basis. I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people, for contractors who want to be proactive with their HOA boards, and also too for HOA boards to they normally go with a budget, a dollar amount budget. They really don't talk a whole lot of water usage. So being able to put a number to that budget and compare it on a weekly, monthly basis, I think is going to be huge for them to help conserve on water.
Yeah, I think you're so right, Mike. And that is going to be game changing. What you just said too, I think about the property managers and how in the dark they are sometimes on these things, not because they don't want to have the information, that they don't want to be knowledgeable. It's just not accessible to them before. This is the first time it's really accessible to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you came up with a lot of this stuff, Richard, as far as the cost of water feature. What made you what made you so passionate about us doing this?
So, Mike, as you know, go all over the country speaking about water conservation and sustainability. And oftentimes I would run these trivia questions during my talks. And one of the trivia questions is, what is the best way to get people to conserve water? And like it or not, the answer is raise the rates.
Yep.
This gets people thinking conservation. When the rates go up, when it gets more expensive, they conserve more. So I love that you're doing this education today. We do the education all the time in the industry. And we'd like to think that made the difference, but really increasing the water rates has been the most effective way. Water rates are going to continue to go up. And one thing I noticed about this is that even though your rate affects the way you conserve, it's hard to know what your rate is, and it's hard to understand how much you've used on a monthly basis, right? When we go to the gas station and you gas up and you just watch that meter spin, it even dings for you. And it's painful, right? Especially these days, sometimes it's crossing $100. And you start thinking twice about, where am I driving to? Do I have to do that? Can I get it some other means? You start to really engage your mind into, how do I make this better? We've never been able to do that with water, right? We typically, you get a bill, and for instance, if you're on a billing cycle of October, November, the water you use in October, you wouldn't be billed for until the end of November. By the time it's mailed to you, you get it in the mail. It's the end of December. It's 90 days after you've used some of the water. It's too late to do something about it. So if we make this information accessible to you, if you see it in real dollars and cents, because it's been available to you before in a CCF or an HCF or a unit. We have been able to get that before, but not having that relationship to what it actually costs, I think leaves out that pain point. And I think adding that pain point where you can really see the dollars and cents is going to help people, be motivated to conserve, right? A lot of people want to conserve. It's just getting them, motivating them to into action is the key. And we can motivate them with dollars and cents.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm out here in Arizona. I got my electricity bill, and it had a tracker for the weekly tracker. So we were getting on the high side. So I told my wife how to kind of back it down a little bit. So having that real-time information with cost really can help us with decisions to help conserve.
That's such a great example. I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because we even, in California, we get the alerts tomorrow. If you'll not use so much electricity during these hours, you get a little benefit on your bill. And boy, we're calling the neighbors. How did you do? And hey, I saved 10 cents. They gamify it, and it causes you to conserve. It's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mike, we have been working on this cost of water feature for a long time, right? Over about 4 years now, I think. And I know that you've had this out with some of your customers in a beta testing. And I'm just wondering, kind of what some of your customers are saying about this.
Yeah, we're getting some great feedback, from HOA board members to water managers all around. The biggest thing is for contractors, you're able to put different tiers in our system, which is nice. Not every water district is going to be the same. Some are going to have fixed rates, some are going to have different tiers. So what I'm hearing is being able to put the different tiers in there and letting the system calculate itself for you does a lot of the legwork. Therefore, it's less time for them spending trying to track down water bills, figure out what tiers they're in. This does it for them and allows them to be proactive with their HOA boards, bring these reports to them and review it together kind of real time. Now put a cost to it. On the other hand, when you have an HOA board who's kind of looking at this as well, they're able to budget. They have a certain budget, a dollar amount for their monthly water bills, and they can be able to track it to kind of see where they're at for the month. This will help them decide, do we want to keep on irrigating and kind of go over the water budget? Do we want to back away a little bit? Or at least it gives them the opportunity to look at it ahead of time and make a decision based off of the dollar amount there.
Yeah, that's so big, right? Because you recently moved to Arizona.
Yep.
And I think you moved into an HOA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the first questions every homeowner asks after they determine the price of the house, and if they like it, the first question is, what's the HOA fee?
Yeah.
And I think, many of the HOAs in Arizona, one of the top 3 budgeted items is going to be water for landscaping.
Yeah,
so the more you can control this pricing, the better off it is for the overall value of the HOA, right? If they keep those HOA fees, the monthly fees in a reasonable area, much higher probability of making a good sale on a house.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and during my conversation with a lot of these guys, just the one quick question that came up was, how accurate is the information that we're providing, Richard, on this?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Mike. And I think the accuracy, I will say, and I think everybody understands what I mean when I say that, is your mileage will vary. And let me tell you why. First of all, if you have a dedicated water meter for landscape with a flow sensor, then you're going to be very accurate. You're going to be spot on accurate to what's happening in your landscape with the cost of water feature. And that is a great opportunity for those people that have that situation. And we do find mostly the big landscape water users do have that situation. Now, your cost of water feature and your actual bill may vary, may have some variations, right? Because sometimes there's a hookup fee or a flow fee or meter sizing fee on your bill. So our cost of water feature doesn't capture that. It does capture, though, what the actual cost of the water based on how much is flowing. So that's one scenario or one situation where it works very accurately. You can be rest assured about that. We do have other situations though, Mike, where we might have a situation where we have a mixed use meter. Half the water is going into the house and the homes, and the other half is going to the landscape. So again, you can use a 60-40 rule, 60% inside, 40% outside, and you'll have to apply that ratio to the dollar you see to really understand what your actual bill is going to be. The other situation that I come across a lot is when you have tiered rates and you've got a mixed use meter. The tiered rates throw things off a little bit because your indoor water use could be getting you to a higher tiered rate. Nevertheless, you do have a baseline to gauge against in those odd situations. You will have a baseline to gauge against. You'll have a pretty good estimate. I'm not saying that this is going to be 10%. I'm saying, you can use an estimate that's going to get you the 80-90% accuracy of what that bill is going to actually be. But because of the other variations we spoke about, it's going to be slightly different. But our variation will never change. It'll stay consistent month to month to month. And so that is the real key. Now, I agree. I can see what you're thinking right now, right? You're thinking, well, gee, there's other ways to measure this. And you bet we have an over and under feature of ET, right? What ET is, are you watering over and under? And that's another baseline that you can use. We can do flow reports. We can do other different reports like this runtime reports that will give us this information as well. And I think all those are great. And I think everybody should be looking at those. But again, when you associate a dollar to those reports, all of a sudden the pain's real and the conservation goes up.
Oh yeah, money definitely talks. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we do have a question coming in, and it's, can you use this feature if you do not have a flow sensor?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get in those slides, but I can answer it now, or if you want to wait a couple slides, Richard, it's up to you.
Yeah, so I mean, the answer is if you don't have a flow sensor, you can, and Mike's going to show you in a few minutes.
Yeah, perfect. Well,
Yeah.
Perfect. I guess I'll take it from there, Richard, as far as we'll just kind of go review a basic kind of how to program it on the system, just a basic overview. I got some slides here for you guys, 7 or 8 slides we can go through real quick. Any questions, feel free to put that in the chat, and we'll get started here.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, Mike, as you're getting into this, we do have the chat and the Q&A open. So if you have some questions, put them in there and we'll be happy to answer them.
Perfect. All right, guys. So on the main dashboard, when you log into your site, you're going to run across this dashboard. On the left-hand side, you'll have all your sites. Once you select a site, this is a particular one down in San Diego, you'll select it and it's going to bring up your controllers here with the basic information you'll normally see, your subscription, all that stuff. However, what's new, guys, on the left-hand side, you're going to see running 30-day total of the cost of irrigation for 30 days. This is a full site scope, so it's going to be for the entire site, not per controller, but for the entire site, everything that's configured. So you would either have a flow sensor, or if you don't have a flow sensor, you would want to put that information in there to make sure that this is accurate as possible. Keep in mind, this is for a running 30-day total. But it's a good indication of where you're at.
So, Mike, I just want to stop you right there because this is amazing, right? Because what I think I heard you say is from this spot on your dashboard, you can see what all your controllers use.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's all total together.
And if I want to see just what one controller is using, I can see that too.
Yeah, you can definitely dive in. You can select on the controller. You can see what that's using, and also you can see if you run a report later on, you can run reports to see what you're using as well. So there's different variations of what we can do. Pretty dynamic on the ability that it has, and pretty much can do any report that you would need to show your water usage on a dollar amount figure.
So, and even if I wanted to see just what one valve used, I could see that, right? I could see how much it cost me to water my lawn this morning.
Yeah, we can break it down per station. And per day, we have really have the ability to do it per day, per week, per month. It's really dynamic on what it can do. So yeah, you can definitely take one station and really kind of hone in on what it's doing, how much you're using of irrigation, how much you're spending on the irrigation for that particular valve.
Wow, that's incredible. Let's see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's just a slide, guys, showing you guys. This is on the weekly. You can see it in a monthly view as well. But this just gives you an idea of what you're spending per week on your irrigation graph based off of your site. It's pretty neat to see kind of, the different months, the peaks, the valleys there on this here. So you can measure it or custom dollar amount. You can also measure in custom CCF or however, whatever you put in there as far as how you calculate your water. You can do a couple of different options when it comes to measuring and calculating all this information.
Mike, can I just point out one thing, or I want to see, I don't know, we haven't talked about this, but I wanted to see if this works. So if we look at that September 17th to September 24th, I see 72.29 CCF, right?
Yep, correct, yep.
And we go to the slide before this, I see $509. The 509 makes a bigger impact than the 700 and some CCF.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to see if that impacted you the same way, and maybe some of the viewers, but I think that tells the whole story right there, because again, as I talk to people, they're not even sure what a CCF is or an HCF. And I think that makes the bigger impact. So seeing that dollar amount.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We talk about gallons and all that stuff being on the water bills, but seeing the dollar amount definitely makes a huge difference as far as, your pocketbook and what everybody's looking at as far as HOA boards and, to their budgets. So after you guys get to the main page, you log in here on your main dashboard, you'll go to what the fourth tab over, which is called water cost. This is where we're going to add your information for the entire sites. As you see below, you're going to have all your controllers that are listed for that site. Everything that has a flow sensor, guys, will be labeled as configured. Everything that does not have a flow sensor will label not configured. You'll want to click the configure button here, and in 2 slides will show you where to put that information in. And then once that's done, then you'll be able to track all your flow, even if it's expected flow, even if it's not real time, the flow sensor, you'll be able to have a good idea of what you're going to be getting there. From this page, you're going to go and you're going to install your billing information. So you're going to take your billing information straight from your water bills, and you're going to input all that information into this page here. As I mentioned before, you have a fixed rate pricing, tiered pricing, whatever you guys can think of as far as your water bills, you'll enter this amount here. If it's something you don't have on here as an option, let us know, guys. We're able to make adjustments and add stuff if needed, but for the most part, this should cover a majority of the water districts on how they bill and how they charge us. So very easy to do, very simple to install, very simple to input the data.
And Mike, I should be able to find all the information that you need here right on my water bill, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything should be listed on your water bill, guys. If it's not, I would call the water district, and if it's missing any information, then they can give it to you. But I would say 99% of it will find on your water bill.
And I will say where I am in San Diego, I'm on tiered pricing, and this was a breeze to fill out. I just had the 4 water tiers that I pay. It had 4 different places where you put the rate and the gallonage of when the rate changed, and it was simple to fill out.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's nice too, when you're on the tiered, Richard, with our system, you're able to track the different tiers. So you're able to kind of know when you hit that next tier based off the information we put in the system, and it's automatically going to calculate that for you. So there's no guesswork on your end. It's done for you automatically through the system here, which is, I think, a great tool for everybody to have.
Mike, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the difference between my first tier and my 4th tier that people get to really quickly, that 4th tier, is $16 a unit.
Wow.
And so I'm going to track when I'm getting close to that 4th tier. And if I can push an irrigation to the next month, I'm going to do it. I'm going to save myself some money.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great example there. Absolutely. Here's, guys, where if you don't have a flow sensor, after you hit that configure button, it's going to bring up this page here. You would go ahead and input your manual GPM, whether it's however you can calculate it in the field, but you would put it there, and then this would automatically populate in the system. And obviously a cost would be associated with the GPMs you put in there and the total amount there.
So Mike, that's interesting. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, gee, how would I figure out what my gallons per minute are if I don't have a flow sensor?
Yeah. A couple ways that I recommend is one, if you know how many heads you have on the line and your nozzle sizes, you take the GPM times that by the number of heads and put that in there. A second way that I recommend to do is Also, go into the water meter, turning the stations on for a minute at a time, checking the flow rates on the water meters, and that should give you a really good idea. Those are the two I mainly use. Do you have any other, Richard, that you want to add?
Yeah, so I have one other, but I just want to clarify. So if I had 5 rotors in my yard or in my HOA area or on my baseball field, and they were out each putting out 10 gallons per minute, that'd be 50 gallons per minute, 10 times 5. And I'd just put the 50 in the GPM and I'd be set to go.
Yep, that's all you got to do. Fairly simple. Yep,
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah, and so then I'll make a plug for a company called Flume. They're out there today. I strapped a Flume on my water meter and did it in less than 5 minutes. I have an app on my phone, or I can see it on my computer. I can see exactly how much water is running at any one time. So I make sure I turn off all the other water, run a station for a minute, and it tracks the gallons per minute very easily and very accurately. So that's another easy way to do it. And these Flume, and there's other devices like Flume, they're available today. They're like $100. I mean, what you save in water is going to more than pay for those in a very short period of time. So that's a third way to do it. But I kind of like figuring out, how many gallons each sprinkler or emission device is putting out, and doing the calculation helps me really understand how much water I'm using.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not going to be very, precise, especially if you have leaks in the line, but it's going to give you a really good gauge of how much you're using based off your water irrigation schedules. Obviously, without having a flow sensor, we can't get down to the T there on everything, but it gives us a good baseline of what we're using.
Yeah, easy enough, right? That portion doesn't take more than a couple minutes.
No, not at all. Very, very simple. So we have that was site level information there, guys. So where you go for the site, if you want to dial it down, you go to the controller, click on your controller on the tabs across the screen. I'm sure you guys are all used to. There's going to be a water cost tab. You'll want to click on that. As you can see for this particular site, it says all flow rates, controllers have been configured. So from there, you would have nothing else to do. But here's the type of report that you can see once you hit to this location here. This is what I think we were talking about earlier, Richard, where down to the actual station, guys, is what we're seeing here. This is a week preview, but you'll be able to see how much am I spending on a certain station for the controller for this valve. I think it's pretty powerful stuff. You can kind of see your high water usage items by the dollar amount there. It kind of gives you a really good idea of where you're at.
Yeah, my eye gravitates right to number 10 there, $25 compared to everything else, so what is that? It's funny, it says turf behind lots. It makes me think, how valuable is the turf behind the lots? Do I want to move some of that turf around? And what I'm really saying by that is I want to move some of that water around to places where it looks really nice when I come into the property instead of behind the property. I can start to make some of these decisions now that I actually, see that water cost amount. Whereas if it was just throwing up 72 CCF, I might not really get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the dollar amount really opens some eyes to that. That's for sure. In addition to, guys, where we can go there into the controller, we can run custom reporting. This is a great tool to use. You can do it water cost flow sensor or water cost custom, similar to what we had before, but there's a little bit more advantages to this as well. It allows us to, guys, we can run different type of reports, last 30 days, month to date. You can do a custom month to date, where if you're trying to track your water bill for the month, you can kind of follow along throughout the month of where you're at. I think it's a very powerful tool, because as you get your water budgets, you can kind of see as you start creeping up to the end of the month where you're at. And like Richard said before, you can make decisions based off where you're at for your budget. A couple other things that are nice here too. This shows you the scheduled irrigation in blue, and your manual start irrigation and other breaks. So you can put a dollar amount on what you're doing out in the field. Are you manually irrigating a little bit too much, causing you the water to increase? Is there breaks in the field? And then the irrigation schedule. So I think having this graph, you can really dissect it however you want, but it really helps out kind of being a proactive and being a true water manager when you're going back and meeting with your HOA boards.
Yeah, man, Mike, I love this graph for a couple reasons. One, It has the what I call the baseball coach syndrome, right? You're a baseball guy, you played, and you know the baseball coaches want to water that field down every night, right? So if you're doing a lot of manual watering, which I see a lot of people do, they think pour on the water, it's going to look better, and that's not always the case. In fact, we know it works the opposite a lot of times too. So it shows you the manual watering too, which is great. And then, of course, the breaks and the leaks, what those are costing you. Well, that'll motivate you to get out there and fix those, or have somebody fix them pretty quickly. So those are great red flags to spot in a very easy way. And yeah, the day, the week, the month, the year, I can get any variation.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, the different options you have there. Like I said, you can tailor it. You can dissect it however you want, but it's good to have those options to share with the board.
Yeah. Very cool. And I got to tell you, I think it is very simple too. It's not very complicated to get set up.
Yeah, it's not at all. You just know your flow rates if you don't have a flow sensor. But other than that, it's fairly simple to do, and just have your water bills, and you're pretty much 90% there.
Do current customers have to do anything to their dashboard now to get this, or is it just there?
No, it's just there. Just the only information, the only stuff you have to do is put in the information. But this is now live on your dashboard. So if you go in there today, tomorrow, you can see this on there, play with it, get using this information to help you guys manage your water. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, Mike, this was fantastic. If I'm messing around with it though, I get in there and I have a few questions. Can I give you a call to get some help on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm also always available. There's my number there, guys, email address. If you have a local rep that you work with, feel free to give them a call as well, or you can call our customer care team. We're all here to make sure you guys are taken care of, and we can answer any of your questions. So we hope you guys like this new feature. We're really looking forward to hearing some feedback from you guys. So let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
Mike, there is so much negative news these days about climate issues, about lack of water, about droughts. We hardly hear any good information these days, but man, you definitely brightened up my day today with this information. There's definitely hope out there. And with tools like what you showed us today, we really can start conserving water at a faster rate and really make a dent in what's happening in water conservation. So thanks for coming on and sharing this information with us.
Yeah, appreciate it, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I want to thank all the viewers who checked in today. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you spending some of your day with us. I know it's time is a very expensive commodity. So the fact that you shared some of your time with us means a lot. Remember, you can see all our trainings at jainsusa.com/trainings or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We are dark next week because we're going to be at the Irrigation Association show, but we'll be back the week after that with some more informative irrigation news. I look forward to seeing a lot of you at the irrigation show next week, and others back here for training in a couple weeks. So Mike, thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
All right.